Hi, everybody. I'm Coraon, your witch in residence. And I just went and saw Dune Part 2. And I have comments. Now, let's start with the good, okay? Um, the animation, or like the CG, the set dressing, the um, the character appearances look absolutely great. The makeup is impeccably done. The sound is beautiful. They don't miss a trick on any of the imagery. The scene with Paul riding the sandworm is gorgeous and deserves a real, breakdown and it be enshrined in the work of technical genius. Okay. Um, my problem with this is where they deviate from the book because there is a massive deviation and it drives me crazy. So I'm putting a absolute spoiler warning up now. Venture here only if you're willing to accept my not in-depth but general spoilers. Okay? You ready? All right. In the books, while the rest of the Fremen are becoming or seeing Paul as a messiah, right? As the chosen one, as the one that will lead them into a prosperous future. As they see that, Chani is on sort of a different path from the rest of the Fremen. Her thing is she's so blinded by her love of Paul that she ignores all of the doubts, the niggling concerns, the anything else because she loves him enough and cares about him enough that it comes across that she is really, a little, she's upset that she doesn't get to marry Paul, but is content that that is who Paul loves. Now, before I explain this in the movie, you also have to understand that the books are based on, a traditional feudal view of the world. Nobility doesn't marry for love, they marry for political allegiance. Okay? This is true in Dune as well. You don't necessarily marry the person you love, you keep them as a consort or a concubine or whatever, but you marry who you need to maintain political power. Paul knows this. Paul's mother was part of this situation where she couldn't actually marry the Duke because the Duke needed to be available for a political marriage if ever needed. In this, Chani is not blinded by love. She only cares about freeing her people. She views Paul's ascendancy as this messiah-like figure as leading her people astray. She's basically like the anti-theist who can't see the writing on the wall, which also is a problem because in the books, Chani does become a priestess of the Dune world, or at least an acolyte of the priestesses. But in this, she only cares about the fighting. She only cares about freeing her people. And when she hears that Paul has to marry the emperor's daughter to legitimize his claim to the throne, she takes off and she leaves him. And she goes off into the desert to, I don't know, go do whatever. This is not the message of Chani's story arc. Chani's story arc is about not believing in the Messiah, but believing in the man. Okay? And believing in how good and decent and loving a human being Paul is, right? That she is there for him when the quiet times happen, when he's got these nightmares. She's there to comfort him, not there to kind of be like, well, you haven't had these in a while. What the hell's going on? Right? I am not sure whether it is the writers screwing around or whether it is Zeldana herself that is on a high horse trying to adapt Dune for modern audiences, but it really pulled me out of the story. Okay? And I would argue that I find it very like a net negative on it. And it really pains me to say this because I was super hoping this was going to be a good movie. I really wanted this to be a masterpiece like the first Dune was. Okay? Dune Part 1 is an absolute masterpiece and I think it's great. I think the story and the writing or this particular actor's politics torpedoed this movie. Now, if you have no background on Dune, if you haven't read the books, if you only have a passing familiarity with the David Lynch's Dune, then, you're probably going to think this is a good movie. And if that's the case for you, guys, enjoy it. I think that's wonderful. I think that's great. Guys, this friggin' killed me. It hurts so much. I'm gutted about it. And, because of this, because of the change, I sit there and I go, well, the pacing in the first half of the movie is fairly slow. And then when we get to the last, then it ramps up for about a quarter and then it goes into fast forward for the last quarter of it. And that kind of off-kilter pacing really bugs me. Like, it annoyed the hell out of me that we got a lot of ritual, a lot of communing, a lot of this piece of it, but we didn't get a lot of we didn't get a lot of the fighting. We didn't get a lot of examples of Paul in his guerrilla war against the Harkonnen. We get very, very short amounts of time on it. I'm also really, really frustrated with, in all the other Dune adaptations that have existed, they've been very careful to show the Fremen with the blue sclera, right? With the blue eyes. And even in Dune Part 1, they did a very good job of making sure that when people were on, they had it. But in this one, there's so many extras and so many Fremen on screen at any one time. There are a lot of times where they don't give them the blue eyes. That is a big fail. Okay? I can't stress that enough. Okay? It's a fail. It's a massive fail. And it hurts. It hurts the movie. It breaks the work that should have been put into it. Now, I am certainly saying that there are things to enjoy in this movie. And if you are not as well versed in the Duneverse, I definitely think this is going to be a great movie for you. Okay? But I get the impression I know why they axed the Bene Gesserit TV series for Dune. And I think it has everything to do with people saw what they did in this movie and went, oh God, this is going to be done for modern audiences. And they got out before it got bad. So are they going to make another one? Are they going to continue the story of Dune? I don't know. I do know that I'm very, very hesitant if they do a third movie, whether I will want to be involved with it in terms of watching it. So guys, that's what I've got. Thank you very much. I'm sorry for the bad news, but merry meet, merry part, merry meet again. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.